All right, we're recording. My name is Natalie Havens. I'm a school counselor at Spanish River. I work with ninth graders, last names L through Z. We have a couple other of our staff on here. We've got Mrs. Susie Riggle, who is our college and career counselor. Go ahead and say hello, Susie.
Hi, everyone.
All right, and we've got Miss Corey Adelstein on here. She's our academy coordinator. I think she's saying hi, but on mute. That's okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. So we're going to talk to you today about college and career readiness and dual enrollment information, and Mrs. Riggle is going to present to us. So go ahead, Mrs. Riggle.
All right, thank you. So good morning, everyone. As I said, my name is Susie Riggle. I am the college and career counselor this year. I'm located right across from the Silver Suite. If any of your students are looking for me, I am there. I am in the office part-time, so I'm here Tuesdays, Thursdays, and some Fridays. But students are always welcome to stop in at lunch if they have questions, or they can always make an appointment if they like to reach out to me. They're welcome to do that as well. So today we're going to talk about some post-high school options after graduation. Some of the top ones, of course, being college, military, or going straight into the workforce and finding jobs. So if your students are interested or possibly thinking about joining the military after graduation, a helpful site to check out is usa.gov/join-military. The site is there on your screen. We also do have recruiters that will visit us every so often. The Air Force was here a couple of weeks ago. So if students are interested, please feel free to reach out to me and I can put them in touch with the right people or make sure they're signed up for those visits as they come. A lot of students are probably thinking about college after graduation. It's really important to think why college, though. It's important for students to know their why and know why they want to go on to college after graduation. So some examples of a why would be to further their education, of course. Having a degree can definitely open a lot of doors. It can give students a lot of opportunities post-graduation. It can also build on educational skill sets, of course, that they'll need in the job market when they're applying to jobs and starting their careers down the road. And of course, it really enables students to hone in on different passions. So a lot of times in college, they have that kind of exploratory phase where they can check out different majors, check out different areas, kind of see what they like, what they're good at, maybe what fields they want to pursue. And it really exposes them to a variety of different things that they might not have really thought about or known about before. So, of course, what does it take to get into college? I'm not sure if you can see. I know some of the writing might be small, but we're happy to share this with you, of course, if you need this chart here we have. But what this shows is all of the public schools in Florida and kind of what their basic what their, not requirements so much as, but what their average student looks like that is attending university. So we say that students who are planning to go on to college or university need to have at least a 3.0 or higher GPA in high school. But as you can see here, this chart shows what the middle 50% of admitted students for each public school in Florida, what their average GPA was, what their average test score for either SAT or ACT was. So you can see there's a variety. Some schools are harder to get into than others, of course. But this chart would give you an idea of what schools are looking for when it comes to test scores and grades. So that last column down, or the last row down at the bottom, you'll see what the average GPA was for students who were admitted to each particular school. That is a weighted GPA, or what we would call the HPA. So it does give more weight to advanced classes like honors classes, AP classes, ACE classes, or dual enrollment classes. So that number there is weighted. But you can see the range of GPA that the average student had for each of those schools. You'll also see there are two. So one says S and one says F. The S stands for summer admissions and the F stands for fall admissions. So you'll see that for some schools, it sometimes is a little bit easier to get in for summer. There may be a little more, their requirements for GPA are a little lower than the GPA for the students admitted in the fall. When you're thinking about, most students apply for the fall semester, so it's a large pool that they're looking at, versus the summer might be a smaller pool of students typically. So if your student is kind of borderline, or maybe they almost have the GPA but not quite, summer might be a good option. It might be a little easier to get in that way. Other benefits of starting in summer are, it's a smaller group of students starting, so it is nice to have kind of a slower introduction to college that way. But we really encourage students to attend to apply to the term that they want to start for. So of course, if they can't start in the summer, of course, don't apply for summer admissions, but it is an option if they're concerned about their GPA or test scores. But yeah, okay. So of course, students are more than just their grades and their test scores. On that previous chart, you could see they're also looking at SAT or ACT scores. They could take either or. That's fine. Schools would take either one. But they are more than just those grades, those test scores. Schools are really looking at the student as a whole. They're looking at the person and not just the scores. So we really encourage students to get involved, whether that is getting involved here at school or getting involved in their community or both. It's really important to start building a resume early on. So even starting 9th grade, we encourage students to get involved, to start building that resume. I would always recommend students maybe just start building a portfolio or have a folder where they set aside or take notes of all the things they do throughout high school. Whether it's something like a summer program. Many universities will offer summer programs for high school students. We post a lot of this on our websites if you are looking for more information about that. But those are a great example of something that can get them involved. Internships, of course, if they're doing like a summer program, those are great things to put on a resume. Community service, it is required for graduation, so all students should be doing some sort of community service at some point. It's great for scholarships as well, like Bright Futures, but it's good just to have on a resume to show colleges that students were involved in their community. If students are ever looking for some volunteer options or some ways that they could get involved, we do post a lot of those opportunities as they come along. And at the end, I can give you some more information about our websites and whatnot. But there is a link here, volunteermatch.org, which they can check out if they're looking for some opportunities. Other things might be involvement, such as in clubs here on campus, might be getting involved in a club, playing sports for the school, things like being in the school play or being in an honor society. Any of those things would be great to include on a resume as well. And furthermore, colleges do like to see not only that students were involved, but that they were leaders on their campus or leaders in their community. So it's important to take note of any time that a student maybe was a member of a club, and not only a member, but maybe they were secretary of the club or president of a club, or if they were participated in a community service project, maybe they were a leader or started the whole project themselves. It's important to take note of those as well, just to show that not only were they involved, but they took initiative and had more responsibilities as well. So again, it's important to start building that resume even from freshman year on. I know I work with a lot of seniors who, when it comes time to do their applications, they have to think back and they don't quite remember what they did freshman year, what they did sophomore year. And they'll come to me and say, well, does this count? Should I put this? So that's why I recommend, if you have, especially if you have a freshman or sophomore, encourage them to start a folder or start a portfolio where they can put all of that there now so they don't forget what they've done when it comes time to senior year. All right, so another thing we'll talk about today is dual enrollment. This is a really good opportunity for students. They can start taking college classes while in high school, and these credits can count towards both their high school transcript and their college transcript. So it's a really great opportunity for students to get some college credits and get some of those requirements out of the way before they even start college. But it is something that, we do encourage students to take very seriously, make sure they're really ready to start a dual enrollment course before they enroll, because this is starting their college transcript. So if they don't do well in that course, it's, putting them off on a not so great start by the time they get to college. So we really want to make sure that students are ready to take those courses. They have the maturity, they have the time. They know what's expected of those courses, so that really they are getting off on the best foot by the time they get to college. So the school district will pay for dual enrollment courses through Palm Beach State College or Florida Atlantic University. They will cover the cost of tuition and books, but students do have to meet some requirements before they are eligible to enroll in these courses. Step one would be they need 4 high school credits. Must include 1 language arts and 1 math class. And they have certain GPA requirements. When we're looking at the GPA, we're looking at the unweighted GPA, not the HPA for that. So for 9th graders, if they would like to dual enroll, they need at least a 3.5. For 10th through 12th grade, they would need a 3.0 GPA. And for any seniors who are interested in early admissions, they would need a 3.2 GPA. So early admissions would mean that come senior year, they would attend the college courses full time. They wouldn't attend any courses at Spanish River. They would spend that whole year taking full-time classes at the college campus. Of course, they're still welcome to come back for all the fun things at Spanish River, like prom and homecoming and graduation, of course. But other than that, they would take all of their classes through the college. So it's a great way they can get a full year done while the school district pays for it. They also will need college ready placement scores. So tests like the PERT, the SAT, or the ACT would count, and they're looking at their reading, writing, and math scores. So this chart shows what those scores would be. So again, reading, writing, and math. The PERT or the AccuPlacer they can take at Palm Beach State or FAU. The SAT or ACT, of course, they can take. We offer them some Saturdays here at school. They would have to sign up through the act.org website or collegeboard.org for the SAT. But you can see the scores needed there. Step 2, if they would like to dual enroll, would be to apply for admissions. After that, they would have to complete an online orientation for the college. Step 4, they have to submit all of the required documentations. I saw a question, but sorry, it popped away. But we'll come back to questions at the end. Can we go back one? Yeah. So step 4, they're going to submit all the required documents. So they're going to submit copies of their college ready test scores, whichever ones those may be. They're going to submit a dual enrollment authorization and permission form, and then a GPA verification or transcript. Most of these will have to be signed off by their school counselor. So please have your student get in touch with their counselor to have all of these papers signed off. Once they receive the signed papers, they are responsible for taking those to either Palm Beach State or FAU for processing. Of course, if they have any questions, please reach out to your counselor, or you're welcome to reach out to me as well if they need any help with any of these steps. The last step, of course, would be to register for classes. They will decide what class they want to take and what time, what teacher they want, and so they can do all of that. They'll sign up online. A lot of students, when we're thinking about what courses to take, we generally recommend take an elective if it's the first time a student is taking a college class or taking a dual enrollment class. I usually recommend starting out with something easy, like an easier elective course, an intro course to something. You don't want to jump in right away and take like anatomy or take biology or something very that might be challenging for them. Take an easier course, kind of ease into it. and see how they do. Again, this is starting their college transcript, so you want to make sure that they aren't overwhelmed or overloading their schedule, and that they starting off on the right foot there. So if any students ever have questions about what class they should take, or what class might be the best one to start off with, please, again, feel free to reach out to a counselor or me, and we can help them pick that. Also important to make sure they're checking for any prerequisites. Those will all be listed on the website when they're registering, just in case there are any courses they have to take before they can enroll in particular courses. So more information about how to apply are listed here for their website. So Palm Beach State, of course, their website is palmbeachstate.edu/dual enroll, or for FAU, it's fau.edu/registrar/dual-enrollment. So setting student expectations, of course, we have to, always be conscious of how we're speaking to our students and how we're discussing things like the future and post-secondary options. Encouragement is key, as we say here. We don't want to ever discourage their thoughts or their plans, but it's important to have some things in mind, like one, being realistic for both parents and students. Sometimes we have maybe some lofty goals that maybe aren't so realistic, and we never want to set a student up for disappointment down the road. Be mindful too that the whole pursuit of higher education, whether a student is going into planning to go on to college, or if they're going on to the military, even the workforce, it can be a very stressful process, right? The whole senior year graduation time is very stressful for a lot of students and parents. So it's important to be aware of that as well. And keep in mind that all colleges, all post-secondary options really, and all children are unique in their individual needs and wants. So what might be right for one student might not be the best idea for another student. So it's all about finding the right fit and finding out what would be the best option for that particular student, that particular individual. And again, every student is different. So we're really just trying to make sure that students live up to their unique potential and do the best that they can. And of course, overall, enjoy their high school years. It is still high school. They are still kids. We want to make sure that they are preparing themselves for the best options they have in the future while still enjoying high school to the best of their abilities.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Riggle. So that is the end of our presentation. I know there was one question, and Mrs. Riggle, maybe you can help answer this. The question was, does the dual enrollment for seniors, is that only Palm Beach State College, not FAU? I believe it's for both, but maybe Mrs. Riggle can expand on that.
Right. So they can do either Palm Beach State or FAU. The only thing is seniors can only do the early admissions. That's only an option for them at this point, for the most part. But that would be if they want to do full-time college and not come to Spanish River for their senior year, but they could do either or.
Awesome. Yeah. We didn't have any more questions. If you guys do have questions, what I can do is stop the recording, and that way you can, raise your hand on here and feel free to speak up. You can also always type in the questions if you have anything else on here. So let me go ahead and stop the recording.